You're watching the 8-player draft series at Magic Brewhouse Games.
Hello, welcome to match number 2 of our 8-player draft. I'm Marshall Simpson, and this is Jeremy Edwards joining me.
What's up?
And we're going to get started here with Philip Drake versus James Roberts. Philip is playing an Eldrazi Izzet deck, and James has Golgari Scions. What are your thoughts about Izzet in this format?
You know, I saw a lot of pretty good blue cards go by me. I wasn't too impressed by the red, so I love to see what's actually going to happen here. Hopefully he grabbed all the red cards before I could see them. Only thing I know, honestly, about this match is I think James always plays Golgari.
All right.
So it should be a good match. I think they...
Okay, so it looks like we have a mulligan by Philip here, going down to 6.
It's always a good way to start.
James is keeping his hand.
But at least the mulligan rule is in effect. Or the...
Scry roll.
Scry roll, yeah, scry roll. Sorry.
All right.
He's mulling down to 5.
We see a 5. This is now... How hard is it to play? I mean, you've got your constructed match, you've got your limited match. How hard is it to go down past 6 and still find a way to win a game of Magic?
I very rarely see that happen, especially in the limited format. Constructed, anything goes because you actually have full control over what your deck looks like. Mm-hmm. But in a limited match, you're stuck. I mean, unless the other opponent just gets into a very large land pocket and doesn't do anything good, it's pretty much the game.
Yeah. And by body language here, it looks like Philip is not happy about this 5 either. But
it looks like
I think he's going to keep this, and he's going to scry here. I think he's showing his cards to the spotter. So that's the delay there. Now, let's go through some of the cards we might see in James's deck, the Golgari Scion deck. He has 3 Blister Pods, 3 Culling Drones, a Catacomb Sifter. That's just to mention some of these things. So we've got a lot of little, small creatures, a lot of drops, but a lot of colorless cards here. How do you think the colorless cards affect this matchup?
Well, it remains to be seen based on what we can see from Philip. Philip has a lot of colorless cards themselves, including 3 Herald of Kozilek, a few Nettle Drones, and 3 Kozilek Sentinels. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a very devoid matchup.
Mm-hmm. All right, so first play, we see a Sledge Crawler from James. Now, you can see on the screen here, it's a 1/1 Devoid Ingest. Ingest says whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top card of his or her
and
library.
Philip follows up with a Salvage Drone, another card with Ingest. And when it dies, you can get to draw a card, and if you do, you have to discard a card.
Now, the Sledge Crawler also has another ability. He can pay 2 colorless to give it +1/+1 until end of turn. Now, a lot of 1-drops in Limited are, they're not super exciting, but when you can have a late game element to your card, that's always positive. And we see right there, it just applied, where James gave +1/+1 and didn't have to trade. He just killed Philip's creature.
But it really worked in Philip's favor. He's trying to draw more cards. He did mull down to 5, so I don't see that hurting him in the long run here. And he follows up with the Kozilek Sentinel, which you were just talking about. 2 mana, 1/4. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, it gets +1/+0 to the end of turn. Very solid card in Limited.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at Philip's deck list here. And I think he's got 2/3 of his creatures are colorless. So those are gonna ping off of that and pump that guy up a lot, hopefully.
He's got a lot that works off, and he's just dropped a
Herald
of Kozilek. Now all of his colorless spells are going to cost 1 less mana.
Now we're seeing some real synergy happen here. maybe we can see a real aggressive play. Okay, so we're going to have a 2-4 swinging in now with the Kozlet Sentinel.
Yep, and it looks like James is going to take it.
All right. Taking him down to 18.
At the end of the turn, he drops card. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me.
That's a Natural Connection.
Natural Connection, that's it. The instant speed, rampant growth. Man, just...
We,
You think with how many times I saw the card pass me, I would have remembered that name. Just completely blanked out.
so
Almost
he,
wanted to call it a Nissa's renewal.
So he got to ramp there a little bit at the end of his turn. That's a really interesting part of that card there. You get to do it at instant speed. Up to 5 here, and Philip is only on 3 land. So James is really getting into his deck. He's really going to get to this point where he can start playing some of his major threats. Territorial Baloth, perhaps, or
an Eyeless
Eldrazi
Watcher.
Devastator. But he plays an Eyeless Watcher.
I think that's the name of the card, unless I'm completely stupid. Yep, it is an Eyeless Watcher. All right. I'm not going crazy yet.
All right, good to know. So Eyeless Watcher, when it enters the battlefield, you get 2/1/1 Eldrazi Scions. And it's a 1/1 body. So 3 1/1s for 4. Not a bad rate. It's not a gobbling outburst. It's not a hordling outburst, but it's about as best you can get in green.
That's right. And Philip, on his turn, follows up with a Nettle Drone, which is another solid card. Has a lot of great synergy with his deck. You will notice he only had to spend 2 mana because of the Herald of Kozilek.
Nettle Drone is one of those cards that you'd like to see Philip really start to go off with. Tapping and playing a colorless creature, untapping, pumping up his Kozilek Sentinel, and then maybe going for a big swing.
See, I really think that James Roberts should have gone into attack mode there. Try to draw the Sentinel into a blocking situation. Or not Sentinel, sorry, the Nettle Drone into a blocking situation.
Well, either way, James Roberts plays Territorial Baloth. This is a really fascinating creature if you can get landfall going. 4/4 for 5, which is not a particularly good rate, but if you can pump that up to a 6/6, that's probably going to be bigger than just about everything else his opponent has at this time.
There's a solid draw. Philip Drake drew into a Cloud Manta, or drew in a land, and then played a Cloud Manta, a 3/2 flyer. Nothing else special about it. Just got very long text on the card.
Yeah.
Passed his turn, and it looks like James is playing another land for landfall.
Okay, landfall. So that Baloth is a 6/6. Pretty much going to take out anything that blocks it. Let's see what happens next. Looks like we have
A Plummet.
a Plummet. Whoa, main deck Plummet. That's, not too often do you see that in maybe, game 1 of these limited matches. You don't see a Plummet, but after sideboarding. But
Worked out in his favor this time.
James might have decided that it was just worth it to play it.
I think they were playing around before they actually had this match, so he might have known in advance.
So what you're saying is he's a cheater.
Not using so many words, but yeah, he's a cheater.
Okay, so Philip taps his Nettle Drone, deals 1 to James after the attack by the. Now I'm wondering, did the Baloth? I guess the Baloth got in for 6 damage. So that puts Philip at 14. James is at 17.
All right, taps the Nettle Drone to deal 1 damage, and then casts
James goes down to 16.
the Shadow Skull Recruit. 4/4 with Menace.
How? Now this card, if it were just a 4/4 with Menace for 5, and granted 2 of those are red pips, versus it being an ally, how much better is this card since it says ally in the text?
Well, depending on how many ally cards you're running in a deck, this can make a huge difference, especially when you start talking about cards like the Hero Gomafada and the Blade Master double strike and just triggering off with Rally. got a lot of impressive synergy there. Otherwise, it's still just a solid 4/4 with Menace.
All right, looks like James is coming in here. I believe he got a landfall trigger this turn.
Looks like it.
So he's coming in with a 6/6 and a 1/1, and he has plenty of mana. He has 8 mana he can pump. He can make that 1/1 all the way up to a 5/5. So it looks like Philip. Yeah, and James is gonna go ahead and do that. Makes it 5/5. Philip's gonna take 5 here and go down to 9. And it looks like the Kozilek Sentinel is gonna bite the dust. Go to the graveyard. And the pressure is really on Philip right now to come up with some kind of an answer.
And it just looks like he drew into an island there. That's not going to help him out very much.
Yeah, we can see on camera that he drew an island.
Good move holding into in his hand, though. It doesn't hurt him. Doesn't exactly need it right now.
It really, this is where we can see that, Philip just starting off with 2 less cards. And he's going to go out for an all-out swing. Maybe he can get James to make a less favorable block. It takes 2 to block the skull,
Shadow Skull Recruit.
Shadow Skull Recruit. So 2 Eldrazi Scions block the Shadow Skull Recruit. And the 1/1 blocks the Nettle Drone. They trade. James needs to untap his creatures here. There we go.
About time. It's always untap, upkeep, draw.
So this should just be it here for Philip, right? Yeah, okay, there he goes. He just scoops it up. There was no bluff. And we will see you in the next game. Welcome back to Game 2 of Match 2 between James Roberts and Phil Drake. I am Marshall Simpson, and this is Jeremy Edwards next to me.
Yo.
All right, so in this game, we see that James is up 1-0. They're shuffling. James has drawn his hand. Looks like he's keeping. I don't
even know if he's looked at it, honestly.
Has Philip? Is he mulliganing here? Is this? Let's see.
I think this
we'll
is the
see
first
how many
draw.
cards he draws. Okay, that's 3. Okay, so Philip has mulliganed. This is rough for Philip. This is the second game that he's had to mulligan. Looks like he's going to keep 6. So we'll see a scry.
That's not so bad, though. 6 is all right.
Yeah, hopefully 6 will treat him better than 5 did. And, he is in the play, so he doesn't get the extra card.
And that'll hurt a little bit, but it's more recoverable. 5 cards and then playing is just, unless you just have the ultimate God draw, it just doesn't work all that well.
Absolutely.
So it looks like he's showing the cards to the spotter, so that's with the delay right now. Marshall, what do you think we're going to see in this match? Do you think it's going to be more of the same, or do you think Philip is going to make a comeback?
Just looking at these lists and looking at the curve and the creatures that we've got, I think that Philip really wants to start off fast here. He wants to get an aggressive start and play off his synergies. But he's going to have a hard time because James also has a lot of low drop creatures that can kind of just get in the way. And one of Philip's best cards, the Nettle Drone, just pretty much trades with any creature that James has in his deck.
And speaking of small creatures, James starts off with a Blister Pod, but then Philip follows it up with a Kozilek Sentinel.
All right, now
that could be a great start for him.
Yeah, this is a card that at 2, very resilient creature, but also has upside with the synergies of his deck.
Ooh, and we see a Transgress the Mind. Target player reveals his or her hand. You may choose a card from it with Converted Mana Cost Graveyard and exile that card.
All right. Interesting that it says exile. That's a big theme in this format. Looks like he has in his hand, what does it look like there? It's hard to tell.
Hard to tell. I think I see one. I think I see a Torch of the Void, a Touch of the Void, excuse me. And it looks like that's what got exiled. think it should be called Torch of the Void just because I said that, though.
Well, the world doesn't revolve around you, Jeremy.
I've learned that I am a large person, but I do not have my own gravitational force yet.
I wasn't making that kind of a joke, but you brought it there.
I usually do.
All right, so James swings in with the blister pod. Says, "I'll just let it go to get the Scion." Now, it looks like James might be.
Looks like he's just trying to ramp into something.
Yeah, it looks like he's just trying to get into something big here.
Well, Philip just passes his turn, so nothing exciting going on there so far.
All right. Oh, just saw a flash of the hand from Philip. Third
Okay.
land drop from James. He's really thinking through this play. Oh, Catacomb Sifter. This is one of the premier uncommons, I think, in this
It's
set.
a very solid card. 3 mana, 2/3 on its own right, and then it comes into play. It gives you a colorless Scion, and then whenever another creature dies, you get to scry. That's a very solid card.
Yeah. And so, just like that, James has potentially 5 mana available to him and a couple scries. I mean,
that's. What he follows up with a Herald of Castle, like that's a thing.
all right. Triggers the +1/+0 on Kozilek Sentinel. So it's now 2/4. Swings in. Says, "Do you want to take it?" No. Okay. Chumps. James chumps with a Scion. Scries 1. Throws it to the bottom.
Scry is very powerful, especially in a limited format like this.
Passes to James. James drew a spell. Thanks, Philip.
We appreciate that.
All right.
So looks like we're just thinking here.
Is that a unnatural aggression in James's hand?
I don't have a good angle on that. I want to say it is a card. Well, he's going to sacrifice the Eldrazi Scion.
5 mana is. I hope he didn't miss the scry here. Well, I think he's gonna cast while it's on the stack. It's a swamp. Leaves it on top for the landfall. And Territory of Baloth, biggest thing out there right now.
Isn't he technically supposed to scry first?
Well, with the trigger on the stack, he can cast. Oh no, he can't. It's not
No.
instant.
It's not, yes.
That's correct. We did have a misplay just then. We better call the judge over.
We should. Where is he?
All
Oh, it
right.
looks like they're playing on. I guess
So-
they're all right with it.
Looks like Philip just played a Wind Rider Patrol, 4/3 flying for 5, and when Wind Rider Patrol.
Deals combat damage to a player, you get to scry 2.
Okay, this is kind of similar to Prognostic Sphinx, but instead Prognostic Sphinx is on the attack, which is significantly better than when damage is dealt. And Prognostic Sphinx. you got
And
to scry
another
through.
plummet. Wow. Followed up by an unnatural aggression.
Whoa, plummet by unnatural aggression. James is clearing the way here for his Baloth. Did he play his land? Yep.
Yes,
So
he
that's going to
did.
be for 6. Philip takes 6.
Goes down to 14.
Goes to 14.
Philip plays another land. And he passes the turn. Looks like he's holding on to an Eldrazi Devastator.
Oh, and it's tough because he's got to get to 8 to play Eldrazi Devastator.
So he's got to hope for 2 more lands, and that's
Oh,
that's a
another
devastating
territorial
blow right there.
Baloth. This is probably going to be just too much for Philip to take at this point. Going to swing in with the Sifter and the Baloth. This is 6 points of damage coming across. Okay, Philip's just going to take it and go to 8. Philip can't do something severe here. This game is just going to be over.
Well, he's tapping 2 mana. He is playing. What is the name of that card? I cannot remember the name of that
Looks
card.
like a
Oh,
side-
it's
oh,
Tightening Coils. There we
Tightening
go.
Coils. So this is the new pin to Earth, -6, -0, and loses flying. So that one Baloth is going to be have no power unless he can figure out 2 lands a turn. But here's 8. He's going to just chump here, throw a guy under the bus, take 2, go into 6. And this is probably just going to be the end of the road for Philip here.
Got something amazing, and that was not amazing.
Still only at 7, can't play the Devastator, and he just scoops to it. That's the end of match number 2. James Robert move on. See you next round.
Hey everybody, we hope you've enjoyed this match of our 8-player draft series. If you'd like to check out the players' draft review, you can check them out. There's links over to my right. If not, stay tuned for the next match. Please take a second to subscribe and leave your comments below. We would love to hear from you, and until next time, we'll be stirring up some magic. Bye everybody.